Okay, welcome to this video. In this video we'll talk about writing the equation of a line given 2 points, and I'm going to show you 3 methods. The algebraic method using point slope, the algebraic method solving for b, and the calculator method. So methods 1 and 2 here, these 2 methods, that one and this one, are related in that you're using algebra to do it. It's just one time we're going to take the points that were given after we find the slope and use point slope, and one will just use the method where we solve for b. So I'll show you all 3 ways, and we'll have 3 different examples, and I'll work through each method for each of those 3 problems. Okay? Alright, so this is technically the second video in this series on writing the equations of lines. The first one was given the slope and a point, and in this case we're given 2 points. Alright, and the next video, the third video, should be on writing horizontal and vertical line equations. Alright, so let's get started. Let's look at this first example. Write the equation of the line passing through 4, -8 and 1, 5. Alright, so the algebraic method, the first thing we have to do is find the slope. And let's label our coordinates that we're given here. We're given x1 here, y1 here, x2 here, and y2 here. And recall that the slope formula is m, our slope, is equal to the change in y, y2 minus y1, over the change in x, x2 minus x1. Okay, and then the other formula we will use, this point slope formula, was y minus y1 equals m times the quantity x minus x1. Okay? And then finally we have our y equals mx plus b, the most powerful form of a line, because the slope and the y-intercept are given to us in the problem. And arguably those are the 2 most important components of any line. In my opinion, it absolutely is m and b, the slope and the y-intercept, the 2 most important critical parts of a line, because with that you can do anything, and the slope and the y-intercept are so important when we get to word problems that are defined with as linear equations, because the slope is our rate of change and the y-intercept is often our initial or starting value. So that's why this form of line is so important. Okay, so let's get started here. First thing we have to do is find our slope. Alright, so I'm going to say that this is step 1 here. Step 1 is to find our m, and then either of these 2, step 2, either of these can be step 2. Okay, so let's find our slope. So we have y2 is 5, and minus y1 is -8, so minus a -8 becomes +8, all over x2 is 1 minus x1 of 4, so that equals 8 plus 5 is 13, and 1 minus 4 is -3. So we have a slope of -13/3. Alright, now let's first let's use the point slope method. And with this y1 and x1 can come from either point. We can use either point, but once we pick one, we have to stick with that. So I'm going to pick this first one, especially since we already labeled it as x1 and y1. So let's fill in our point slope formula, that formula right there. Alright, change colors here so we can look at step 2. So we have y minus our y1 is -8, so y minus -8 becomes y plus 8, equals our m that we found, 13/-3, times x minus our x1, which is 4, so x minus 4. Alright, we distribute here and here, here and here, so we have y plus 8 equals -13/3x plus, this will be plus because it's -4 times -13/3. Let's use our calculator here and see what that's going to be. So we have, in parentheses, since it's a fraction, -13/3 times, and we can hit the times key or just put it right beside that parentheses, and our calculator knows that means multiply. So that's times -4. Okay, that's 17 1/3, so math enter on that to give us a fraction. That's 52 over 3. So plus 52 over 3. Alright, so we need to subtract 8 here to get y by itself. So let's subtract 8. Let's bring our calculator back in here. So we have 52 over 3. So since that's already my answer here, I can just say minus. So it'll do 50 over 3 minus 8. Okay, that's 9 1/3. As a fraction, that's 28 over 3. So that gives us the equation of y equals negative 13 over 3x plus, let's check that again, 28 over 3. Plus 28 over 3. So a lot of fractions there. No problem. We can handle those. Alright, that's that method. Now let's use our y equals mx plus b method to get the equation of the line. Okay, so we've already found the slope, which we would have to do as step 1 anyway. Step 1 right here. We would have to use find our m anyway, and we've already done that, so we're not going to mess with that. So now we'll use this point again. We're going to use this point to fill in our y and our x. Okay, so we have y is negative 8 equals our m, which we found to be negative 13 over 3. Negative 13 over 3 times our x, which from this point right here that we're using, remember, once we decided to use this y coordinate, we must use this x coordinate because we have to use the same ordered pair once we pick one. We could have picked this one, but we chose this one, so we're sticking with it. So our x coordinate is 4 plus b, and our job here is to solve for b right there. Okay, so negative 13 over 3 times 4. Let's see, I think we already did that, didn't we? Alright, so negative 13 over 3, negative 13 over 3 times 4. Negative 17 1/3, and as a fraction, that was negative 52 over 3. So we have negative 8 equals negative 52 over 3 plus b. So now we're going to add 52 over 3. So let's come back over here, and we will have negative 8 plus 52 over 3. And let me put my plus 52 over 3 over here as well. These two strike out, and we're left with b equals negative 8 plus 52 over 3. So 52 over 3 plus 8. So 8, oops, it's negative 8, sorry, negative 8 plus 52 over 3. Remember, fractions always go in parentheses in our calculator. So that gives us 9 1/3, math, enter. That's 28 over 3, so b equals 28 over 3. Now we can write our equation. We have our b, we have the m that we found right here, so it's just y equals negative 13 over 3 x plus our b of 28 over 3. Okay, we got the same answer either way. So we use, for our step 2 in this example, we used this method. Okay, we got the same answer. And in the second example here, we used our y equals mx plus b method and solved for b. Okay, when you look at this, here's why I think my students do better with this and why I recommend it. You look at the amount of work, the amount of basic math that you have to do with this method versus all of this over here. You've got to distribute, and I just think that there are more opportunities to make a mistake using the point slope. That's why I tend to recommend that my students stick to this. But if you do better with point slope, by all means, please keep using it. But if this y equals mx plus b and solving for b works better for you, then definitely use that. Alright, let's look at another example here. Actually, you know what? We didn't use our calculator to solve this. And you'll like this. If you haven't ever seen it before, it's pretty easy. Alright, so the way that we solve this situation with our calculator is we go through this stat button right here. That's the most important button for finding the equation of a line given 2 points with your calculator. So we're going to hit the stat button. We're going to hit enter for edit right here. This is several steps, but it'll be pretty simple. Alright, if you already have a list 1 and list 2 in there, you need to clear those out. You clear them by highlighting the list and hitting clear on your calculator and hitting enter or arrowing back down. So we need to remember that using our calculator, our x's go in list 1 and our y's go in list 2. Our x's go in list 1 and our y coordinates go in list 2. So our x coordinates are 4 and 1. So we're going to do 4, enter, 1, enter. Alright, so our x coordinates are there. So then we put our y coordinates in list 2. We have to put them in the same order. This ordered pair goes first, and then this one was second. So we have to put the y coordinates in that order as well. So it's -8 and then 5. So it's -8, enter, 5, enter. Alright, then we hit stat again. Now that we've entered our points in here, our coordinates, I should say, with our x coordinates in list 1 and our y coordinates in list 2, we hit stat again, over to calc, option 4, linear regression, 4, enter, and it gives us our line here. Don't worry about this r squared equals 1 and this r equals -1. We're just looking at this a and b. That's really what we're looking for here. So I'm going to drag this over and paste it in so that we can really talk about what this is giving us. Alright, so it's given us a slope of -4 1/3 and a b value of 9 and 1/3. So since this is fractions, it makes it a little more difficult because we've got to convert this decimal into a fraction. So -4.3, I'm going to put 3's all the way across the screen so that my calculator can round this over and make sure and get my appropriate fraction. So math, enter, enter. That's -13 1/3 for our slope. The a value, you see it gives you the y equals ax plus b here. I wish they would use mx plus b, but the calculator uses a instead of m. But notice that a is stacked with x, so that's where our slope is. Our slope is always the number right with x. And then our b value, they at least use b here for the y-intercept. That's 9 and 1/3. Okay, so -13 1/3, that matches the slope that we found right here. Now let's get our b value. So it's 9 point. We'll put a bunch of 3's in here. All right, math. Well, enter, enter. And that's 28/3, and that's the exact b value that we found using our other method. So our calculator gave us y equals -13/3x plus 28/3. All right, it gave us this. -4 1/3 is the same thing as -13 1/3, -13/3, pardon me, and 9.3 repeating is the same thing as 28/3. All right, so our calculator solved it for us. All right, let's move on to the next example. All right. Here we have another example. So this time, find the equation of the line passing through -9, 11 and -1, 1. So let's label our x1 and y1 and x2 and y2 here. Alright, so let's find our slope using our step 1 formula, our slope formula. So that's y2, 1 minus y1, 11 all over x2, -1, minus x1, which is -9. So it's minus -9, so that becomes plus 9. Alright. So that is equal to 1 minus 11 is -10. -1 plus 9 is 8. So that's -10 over 8. -10 over 8 will reduce to -5/4. Alright, so we found our m here. Here's our m right here. Alright, so in the next step we'll use our point slope, and we'll also solve it using solving for b. So I'll show you both methods again. Alright, so now once we've found our m, we need to use our step 2, and we have two choices. We can either use the point slope, or we can use the y equals mx plus b and solve for b. So this the first thing that I'll show you is using the point slope. So let's fill that out. So we have y, and I'm going to go ahead and again and use this point right here. All right, I'm choosing to use that ordered pair to fill in. So it's y minus, our y1 is 11, y minus 11 equals our m, negative 5/4, times x minus our x1, which is negative 9. So minus negative 9 becomes plus 9. All right, so we have y minus 11, distribute. So we have minus 4/5 x, distribute here. And then we have negative 45 over 4. Negative 5/4 times 9 is negative 45 over 4. All right, and then we'll add 11. Add 11 here. That strikes out, and we get y equals 5/4 x. And then negative 45 over 4 plus 11. Let's bring our calculator in here and use it. So we have parentheses negative 45 over 4. Oops. Let's change that to 45. Negative 45 over 4 plus 11. Alright, that's negative 0.25. That's negative 1/4. If we're not sure, we can math enter on that. So that's minus 1/4. Minus 1/4. So our m is 5/4, and it should be negative. I didn't write that right. I didn't bring that negative down. So our m is negative 5/4, and our b, or y-intercept, is negative 1/4. Alright, let's use this method right here. So we're still going to use this point right here. I'm still using that ordered pair to fill this in. My y is equal to 11 equals my m, which we said is negative 5/4, times my x, which is negative 9, plus b. We're solving for b here. We're solving for that b right there. Okay, negative 9 times negative 5 over 4 becomes 45 over 4. 45 over 4 plus b is equal to 11. So I need to subtract 45 over 4. Subtract 45 over 4. And I will get, that'll strike out, and I'll have b equals, alright, sorry about that, the phone rang, so I'm back here. So we were finding b here. So we had 11 minus 45 over 4. So let's put that in our calculator here, and we have 11 minus, parentheses, remember we always put fractions in parentheses, 45 over 4, and that gives us minus 0.25, which is negative 1/4. So our b is still equal to negative 1/4 when we use this method. So we have b, and we have the m that we had before, so now we just write the equation. Y equals negative 5/4 x minus 1/4. Okay, same answer we got before. Now let's use stat edit in our calculator. So let's pull our calculator back up. Let's go stat, enter for edit here. First step, remember, is to put our x's in list 1. We're going to clear out the other ones that we had. We're going to put our x's in list 1 and our y's in list 2. So our x's in this case are negative 9, negative 1. So negative 9, enter, negative 1. Whoops. Stat, edit. Negative 9, enter, negative 1, enter. Alright, now we put our y's in list 2. Same order, this point, this ordered pair, then this one. So it's 11 and then 1. 11 and 1. Okay, stat, over to the calc menu here, and option 4. So hit 4 on the keyboard, hit enter, and it gives us negative 1.25x plus a negative 0.25. Negative 1.25 is the same thing as negative 5/4, so we can prove that. Negative 1.25, math, enter, gives us negative 5/4, and of course negative 0.25 is negative 1/4. So our calculator is giving us the same answer that we got before. So let's paste that in over here. Alright, so our calculator, realize it is giving us our slope right here, and it's giving us our y-intercept right here. So then we can just write it. Y equals negative 1.25x minus 0.25. If we write these as fractions, it's y equals negative 5/4 x minus 1/4. Okay? So we get the same answer regardless of what method we use. Alright, let's look at another example next. Alright, last example here. So we are given, find the equation of a line that has an x-intercept of 18 and a y-intercept of negative 10. Okay, so we are given 2 points. We're just given the x-intercept as an ordered pair and the y-intercept as a, we're given the x-intercept and the y-intercept, but realize these are just points. That's all. These are just points. So the x-intercept is going to be the point 18, 0. Remember that the x-intercept occurs when y is 0. The other point, point 2, is the y-intercept of negative 10. Y-intercept occurs when x is 0, so it's 0, negative 10. So all they've done is they've just given us 2 points. Just another way of giving us 2 points. So we have x2 and y2 here. Alright, so first thing we're going to do is find the slope. So let's do that. Alright, so we'll plug this into the slope formula. So it's y2, negative 10, minus y1 of 0. So negative 10 minus 0. That makes that easy. That's just negative 10 on top. And then we have x2, 0 minus x1 of 18. So 0 minus 18 is negative 18. So negative 10 divided by negative 18 will reduce. It's going to be positive, so it's 5/9. 5/9. So our m is now equal to 5/9. So we'll use this. So that's our step 1. Now we're going to use step 2. We'll use both methods. First the point slope, then we'll use y equals mx plus b and solve for b. So let's do that. Alright, so we're going to use point slope first. Alright, sorry about that. Phone ring again. Okay, so we were about to put this into our point slope formula. So we'll use this point right here, this ordered pair, and we'll fill in. So it's y minus 0, because our y coordinate's 0, equals our m of 5/9 times x minus x1 is 18. So x minus 18. So y minus 0 is just going to become y. The 0 is going to fall off. We can just drop that. 5/9 times x, we're distributing here, 5/9 x. 5/9 times 18, let's bring our calculator up and do that. So we have 5/9 in parentheses, because it's a fraction, times negative 18. Don't forget that negative. So it's negative 10. So 5/9 minus 10. 5/9 x minus 10, sorry. Okay, so 5/9 x minus 10. That one's done. Alright, let's use the y equals mx plus b method and solve for b. So let's fill this in. We'll use the same point again. So we have y is 0 equals our slope, 5/9, times our x is 18 right here, plus b. Okay, 18 times 5/9 is going to give us same thing we got here, only with a different sign, so it's going to be 10. 18 times 5/9 is 10. So we have 0 equals 10 plus b, subtract 10, and we get negative 10 equals b. So we have our b, we already found our m right here, so it's y equals 5/9 x minus 10. Okay, again, you can view the two methods here and see which one you like the best. Now let's do stat edit in our calculator. So that's stat, enter. We're going to put our x's in list 1 and our y's in list 2. So our x's are 18 and 0 in that order. 18 and 0. It's coming from right here, 18 and 0. Now and our y's, we're going to do 0, negative 10. Alright, so let's put that in. 0 and negative 10. Now we have to make sure that we have 18 comma 0. That's what this means. 18 comma 0. That's right here, 18 comma 0. And this means 0 comma negative 10. We have 0 comma negative 10. Alright, we have to make sure they're paired correctly. So 18 is first for the x, so 0 has to be first here for the y. Alright, you have to make sure that they're lined up together. 18 comma 0, 0 comma negative 10. Those were our points. Stat, over to calc, option 4, and enter. Alright, so that gives us, I'll bring this over. We're going to have to do some decimal conversion here. Let's put this up in the corner. Let's bring our calculator back up. Okay, so we have 0.5 repeating. Our calculator is rounding that 6 there. So if we didn't know what that was, I'm going to put a bunch of 5s. I usually like to fill up the screen. A little too far there, but it won't hurt. Alright, and then we're going to hit math, enter to get that as a fraction. 5/9. So 0.5 repeating is the same thing as 5/9. So our calculator, look, here it gives us our format there. It's y equals ax plus b, where a is our slope and b is our y-intercept. And we see from our calculator here, right here, that 0.5 repeating is 5/9. So our slope is 5/9. So it's simply y equals 5/9 x plus our b value is negative 10, so it's plus negative 10. That's the same thing as minus 10. So we got 5/9 x minus 10 no matter what method we used. Okay, so let's recap here. We looked at 3 different examples and we worked it 3 different ways. One was with algebraic method using the point slope. Second method was algebraic method solving for b. Remember, with both of these we had to find our slope first. Find m first with these 2 methods. Okay, that was part of it. And then lastly, and the easiest and fastest, is just use our calculator. We use stat edit in our calculator. Alright, so I hope this video helped. There are several examples and several different ways of looking at it. So you just pick the method that works best for you. And again, always please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Post comments, ask questions. I'm here to help. I'll see you in the next video where we will talk about horizontal and vertical lines. See you then.